I'm Bae.
And I'm Morgan, and we are the Body Acceptance Babes.
This is the podcast where we talk about how to accept the body you have, let go of societal expectations to change the way you look, and to just be who you were born to be from the inside out.
You'll hear about how we embrace body neutrality, reject diet culture, and learn how you can too. Now on with the show.
Hello, Morgan.
Hello, Bae. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm having a good morning. The sun is finally coming out, so that's a good thing.
Nice.
Yeah. How are you?
Doing okay. This morning, I had to get up with an alarm, which I haven't done in I don't know how long. It made me really reflect on my life, actually, which is hilarious how little things like an alarm can make you think about your whole life. But really introspective morning considering it's 9:30 here.
Yeah, it's 11:30 here, but I also got up with an alarm because I had to drop off my daughter at kindergarten, and man, that's early. Man, that's early for me. I'm not a morning person, so I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Mornings, I am on my second cup of coffee, and now I'm functioning.
Yay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how has your week been? Anything come up with you in the body acceptance world? Anything exciting happen?
Yeah, so I recently, our listeners may not know this, I recently moved provinces and I had to go get my new driver's license. Ooh. And in this province, when you apply for your driver's license, they ask your weight.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I know. And I asked why. And I don't know if she was being jokey because she was like, oh, well, in case you get arrested, the police would want to know. And I was like, they don't have scales if they really want to know. But I don't know. But I told her, I was like, I haven't weighed myself. I can't remember the last time I threw my scale out when we moved because it was dusty. I only used it for when we were flying somewhere so my luggage wasn't overweight. And I decided that since that's what we used it for, I was just going to buy a luggage scale because it doesn't matter how much our bodies weigh. And so I told her, I was like, I have no idea. And she's like, well, I have to put something go ahead and guess. So I guessed. And then I don't know. It just made me feel really icky. Yeah.
I don't also I think I have several thoughts about this. I've had experiences where they ask you that and I tend to just make up a number. Same thing. Yeah. It can even be a number that's not even accurate. It's just also because you have your driver's license for 5 years there.
Yes.
So your body can fluctuate naturally, right? So I find that kind of, I guess, what's the word? It can almost be, if it's to help identify you, that can almost be, I can't even think of the word. I guess unintuitive or it's because what if your weight fluctuates a lot and then it's wrong. You know what I mean? So it's kind of it can be, it's just not, I don't know. I wouldn't use that as an accurate method of,
Yeah.
And also I would just like to say, if you put down a number, that looks different on different people, right?
Yep. 100%.
So what does it matter? A person who's 5 feet tall at a certain weight is gonna say I'll throw out a number, 150 pounds at 5 feet tall is gonna look different than a person who's 6 feet tall at 150 pounds.
Absolutely.
So how are the police even able to? Anyway, I find that kind of silly.
I know,
but
I struggled with it a lot because I didn't know that was a question. I'm standing there and she asked me and I'm like, that
would be super triggering for sure. I could totally see that being true. I mean, as much as we've come so far with our, with our journeys.
Because instantly I was just like, what if this changes? What if I can go on a diet? I don't like this number. I don't like it. Instantly triggered all these diet culture thoughts. Ugh. And it took me a minute because it took me into this spiral. And then when I was like, okay, well, obviously I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go on a diet. I'm not going to, all these old habits started I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And I'm not unhappy with how I look, and I don't know. It's just a thing. And like the other thing I had to realize is like whether or not it's printed on the driver's license, I don't even like how often do you even look at your license, you know?
Yeah, not often.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, it looks different on different bodies, and like muscle weighs more than fat, and like
Yep.
I feel like if you're showing your ID at the liquor store, for example, like I would instantly think like, oh my God, are they looking at my weight? Like blah, blah, blah. Like those diet culture
That's
thoughts.
true. I didn't even think of that. That's true.
Yeah.
That's, I don't necessarily think that needs to be on there. Like
I know.
as coming from someone who doesn't even like weigh themselves at the doctors, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
I know.
yeah, I don't know how I would answer that question. That'd be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the license came in the mail and it's shown in kilograms, so it doesn't look the same as it does in pounds.
I mean, that's better, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks it from a diet culture perspective, it's way less than pounds. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Which is so silly too, because it's like, who cares? But
I know.
No, I know. Well, I'm glad. I mean, it's in a way, it's good that you had it's negative that you had that experience, but at least you can share it with the listeners as like as a what's that word? Like, as silver lining. That's the word.
Yeah.
So yeah, at least there you have the silver lining that you were able to share that experience, because I bet you're not the only one.
Yeah.
So
exactly. It's so weird because I wondered, I'm like, did they ask us this when we like got our G1? Like, did they ask us this then? And then I was like, I don't think so.
No, I've never, because of my history of disordered eating, I would have remembered that. So
Yeah.
No, in my province, they don't do that. So
Yeah.
But yeah, so
has anything come up for you over the past week?
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot smaller, but I was kind of looking for clothing for fall, and I was looking online and I came across this. It's like, I joke that it's like a house coat, but it's meant for it to be like a coat. Anyway, it goes over your shoulders and you tie it with a tie. And it's actually like, it came up on my Facebook because I was looking for clothing. I guess it came up on my Facebook newsfeed as an advertisement, but I really liked it. And I clicked on it. It's from a store called Pennington's, which if anyone doesn't know, it's technically a plus size store. But it's the item of clothing. When I looked at I was like, oh, I'm going to look at the sizes and the size chart and figure out, because you go by your measurements, right? And I clicked on it and it was one size fits all. And I was like, ugh. Like, I have a big issue with items that are one size fits all in general, in standard sizes and in plus sizes. And even though, like, can be mid-size and plus size, so I would be on the smaller end of plus size, I still I'm like, I don't know if I want to buy this because I don't know if it's gonna fit me. I have no way of knowing if it's gonna fit my measurements, right? So in the end, I have purchased it. It actually just arrived today, but I have not opened it yet. But it's just hard to believe that item of clothing would fit someone who is like a 0X, and then also fit someone who's a 6X. Like, I just don't see how that's possible. So it'll be, when I take it out of the box, it'll be really interesting to see what the outcome is, and maybe I'll do a follow-up on it next episode. But so that was, but I went through do I want to support this and spend my money on this? And then I was reminded by another friend that it's possible to return it. So we'll see how it goes. So, and plus I don't look at sizes other than to determine which one's going to look best on me. I don't look at sizes I don't judge the size, but so I'm just going to, try on the item of clothing and see how it looks on me. And if I feel like it looks good, I will keep it. If not, I will return it. So,
yeah. Yeah, because like that's the reason there are sizes, so that they can fit the different body types.
Exactly.
So like one size is like not realistic.
No. Like, I don't see how it could fit. Like, I mean, even in standard sizes, like one size fits all, how is it going to fit a size 0 and a size 12 or a size 14? Like, you know what I mean? And same with, it's like, I don't like those one size items in general, because it's just on principle. I believe that we need to be size inclusive, and that's not inclusive because someone's going to be left out of that.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's
but-
gonna, yeah, 100%. I feel that way. Honestly, I feel that way with hats. Like, often hats come in one size, and I have a larger than woman's one size. I'm doing air quotes here.
Yeah.
One size head. Every time something is one size, it never fits my head. Ever.
Yeah, I could totally see that too. Like, I don't wear hats as much, so I didn't think of that originally, but I could totally see that being a thing. Even for me, like, I have a narrower, the distance between my eyes and my nose are smaller. So I find with glasses even, like, it's almost like hats are like glasses where you have to try them on and see how they fit, right?
Yes.
Which is kind of the same with, it should be the same with all clothing. Like, it's like, how does it fit on your face? So then, like, how does it fit on your body? And we don't, if glasses don't look good on us, we don't judge it necessarily. We just go like, oh, okay, that doesn't work out. And we put them back and we try another pair. I feel like we almost need to be more like that with clothing. Like
100%.
Like, that's, yeah.
Such a great segue into today's topic.
It totally
body
is.
neutrality.
It totally is. Okay, yeah, let's get right into it because we're starting to talk about it anyway.
Yes. All right.
Yes.
So today's topic is body neutrality. And
Yay.
body neutrality for us is the middle ground. I'm going to describe it as the middle ground between the diet culture thoughts and like loving yourself. So it's like you can put something on, and instead of like, if you're not at a point where you're like, I love how I look amazing, then just being, instead of being like, I hate this, getting to a point where you're neutral about it.
Yeah. So like my therapist used to always say, if you can't get to a point where you love your body, just get to a point where you can be neutral about it. And that's exactly what you just said. And it's essentially, well, we're going to define it. We can start by defining the word.
All right.
If you want to read the first definition.
Sure. Yeah, so we found some definitions online. The first one is from Oxford Dictionary. The word neutrality is defined as the state of not supporting or helping either side in a conflict or disagreement. But in this case, I would say it's either side of like diet culture or loving yourself. It's like that middle, it's not one thing, it's not the other, it's just neutral.
Yeah. It's just, exactly. Yeah.
And the second definition on Oxford Dictionary was the absence of decided views, expressions, or strong feeling. So it's absolutely that middle ground of like, I'm wearing this dress and it just is. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It just is.
It just is the way it just exists on my body. And
but not even close. I feel like I've always struggled, and I think you've had the same with like my arms. And it's like, I would always look at them and be like, my arms are so big. And body neutrality would be like, my arms are. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that actually I noticed personally is I got a bigger tattoo on my arm, and I love the tattoo on my arm. It's of like some tropical plants, some palm leaves, monstera plant leaf, and 3 flowers to represent my like triangle family. And we took some family photos recently, and I love the way my tattoo looks in the photos, and I still don't love the size of my arm, but it's almost like it takes away from that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I just remember thinking like, oh, my tattoo looks awesome in this photo, right? And it's just, so it's almost like you can be neutral, you can love one thing and be neutral about something else, right?
Yes.
So that's an example. And one of the reasons I wanted a bigger tattoo is because I actually think it fit my arms better. Like it looked better. I think in general it looked better. So than having originally, it was a cover up from a smaller one, like a really small one. But no, this is like, it's more balanced. It just looks, I don't know. I love it. So
I think that is so amazing that you're at this point where you're like, yes, bigger tattoo right here.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm like, oh, it looks great. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? So,
and do you feel like you want to show it off more? Like,
yeah. Like, I guess it's like, I hadn't seen it because it's kind of on the edge of my arm. leaning more to the back. So unless I'm turned to the side, or I have my arm in like a pose, I don't see it as much in photos, or I don't see it as much in the mirror. So in the photo I'm talking about, I had actually there's two photos I was talking about. I had my arm in a certain position in both photos where you could see it more, and I was like, oh, that's what it looks like cool, like, you know. So yeah, it made me feel like, you know, that it was that, you know, getting the tattoo was the right decision, and like I like it, so why not, right? It was me. It felt like me.
Yeah, I think it is so cool to go from like I need to cover up my arms to like I want to show off this cool tattoo now that I got on my arm. Yeah. And that's a way, like, body modification is a way. I think that my example of the tattoo is like healthy body modification, where like, you know, I'm turning something that I once hated into something I love, by not, you know, by getting a tattoo, which changes your body permanently, but not in an unhealthy way, like through dieting, right? So
if that makes sense.
But,
cool. Yeah. So what do we have for the next definition? Do you want me to read it?
Sure.
It's actually pretty basic. So this is from dictionary.com, and neutrality is defined as the state of being neutral. It's like pretty, and I actually liked the other definition where it said the absence of strong feelings. That's kind of where that's what it has to be. It's like you just don't have strong feelings one way or the other. And so that's kind of the state. That is a state of being neutral, in my opinion. So
and I feel like when people talk about body acceptance, it's often like, well, I've hated my body for so long. How in the world would I love it? And like body neutrality is... it's
you can't just go to loving it right away, because
exactly
you've been trained by society to hate it.
So you're breaking down those societal thoughts, the diet culture thoughts, and when you've lived with it for so long, it's gonna take time to like get to this place of no feelings, but like it's so worth it. And it's such a good, I think, bridging this gap between body acceptance and hating yourself, but with body neutrality is such a great place to strive.
I like
to
how
be.
you say that, the bridging the gap. I love how you say it like that, because it's kind of like the first step. Like, if you can't love yourself, at least try to get to the neutrality part. And we're going to talk about later on in the podcast, we're going to talk about tips and tricks to help us get to those points. So if you're like, okay, well, that's great, Bay and Morgan, but how do I even get to that? You know, don't worry, we're going to talk about that too.
Fret not, listener, we got you.
Yes, exactly. So, we're going to talk about that as well. But it's I like how it's kind of like it's a stepping stone. It really shows the journey, right, to get to body acceptance. It really shows that it is a journey. It's not just something that happens overnight. So I encourage you, dear listener, to be patient with yourself, because you're literally unlearning years of conditioning. So
100%. And in one of the spiritual modalities that I listen to or that I follow talks a lot about deconditioning, and it says that it takes you 7 years to decondition something. And the reason for that is not that it takes your brain that long. It's because at a cellular level, it takes your cells 7 years to regenerate. So if it takes time, that's normal and that's okay. And don't be hard on yourself if one day you feel neutral and the next day you're having a bad diet culture day. It's totally normal and that's okay. And even just getting to this neutral point is going to take time, and that's totally okay.
Absolutely, because as you described in your opening story, things happen that you don't expect, and that can set you back sometimes. But it just even though it might feel sometimes like 2 steps forwards, 1 step back, it's not. It's part of the journey for sure. And sometimes you might have to be like, you know, I don't love this. I don't love my body today. I'm not even neutral about it, but I'm still worthy of going out in the world, and that's okay too if you're not quite there.
Yes.
But if we make neutrality our first goal, then it just feels a lot more attainable to me than
Yes.
love, than body acceptance and body love. Like,
Yeah. 100%. Especially after a lifetime of
yes, yeah,
diet culture and abuse
Yeah.
and like, you know.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. 100%. So the last definition we have is from vocabulary.com, and it says non-participation in a dispute, non-engagement, non-involvement, tolerance, lack of involvement. So those things, I feel like how I would look at that is like lack of involvement in diet culture, lack of involvement.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like non-participation in those discussions
Non-participation,
of like,
yeah.
oh, my body. Oh, like, you know, how like girls in the movies, they're all around the mirror. It's like, oh, my ears are too big, or like, oh, my lips aren't big enough. And
Yeah.
non-participation in those kind of conversations, and like non-participations in the, oh, I'm trying this diet today and I'm eating this today and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And just like not engaging.
I would
those
also
things.
add non-participation in diet culture thoughts you may have. So like
Yes.
it might come up that you're looking at yourself in the mirror. I always use this example because it's just the easiest one for people to relate to. But you're looking at yourself in your mirror and a thought comes in your head like, wow, my stomach looks huge today, for example. And it's just not participating in that thought. So basically being like, okay, thought, you just came into my head, but I'm not going to engage with you. I'm going to put you over here, and I'm going to engage in something else. So whether that's I mean, we're getting into now some of the tricks, but like whether that's looking at something else that you love about yourself or whatever, it's just not in like you're allowed to have those thoughts. You don't want to block them out because that's part of the learning process. But when you do have them, you can choose whether or not to believe the thought. Right?
Yes.
You can choose whether or not to, and even if you do believe the thought, you can choose whether or not to dwell on the thought.
Yes.
So that's something, so it's not only participating in socially with other people, but it's also participating in with yourself, I think.
Yeah.
I see it like that too. Yeah. Cause like, it's like when your brain throws that at you. Cause those thoughts come from years of diet culture, you know, behavior that you're trying to break, right? So if you acknowledge that that's where that thought is coming from, it's a lot easier to just put it over here. And
yes. Yeah, almost like detaching from your thoughts and becoming like an observer.
Detaching, that's great. I like that sentence. That's or that sentence. That's
like
the word. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I know for myself, I always felt consumed by my thoughts and that I had no control over them and that they defined me. And I've learned over the past few years that my thoughts are not me, and they are a result of conditioning from society and et cetera, and that I can detach from them. And sometimes when I have those thoughts now, I laugh at them. Like not always though, because like the other day, like as women, we go through a cycle, and like I looked super bloated and I was like, oh my gosh, my stomach is huge, but like, hello, my period was here. Like that's normal. And remembering that it's normal for your body to fluctuate, not how society would want you to think, and not how diet culture wants you to think, but like recognizing that what your body's going through is normal. Yeah. And like it's all normal, and like detaching from those thoughts of like, oh my gosh, I'm bloated, look at my stomach, I need to do XYZ in order to change it. Just detaching from that and being like, it's normal. Yep. It's okay.
Yeah. Yep. And like I even just think of it like, sometimes I even like one of the thoughts that I have that makes me feel better, if we use the stomach example, is like, I'm allowed to have a stomach. I'm allowed to have a stomach. It's allowed to exist the way it exists. It exists the way it exists because of all the things I've been through in my life. For me personally, it includes being pregnant, having a child, the the never end. I mean, we talked about it last episode, but like then how that your body permanently changes from that. It's like, I'm allowed to have this. So whatever voice in my head, diet culture voice, is telling me I'm not allowed to have this, like that voice is wrong. You know what I mean? I'm allowed to exist the way I exist. So
yes.
Yeah.
And something that diet culture and society doesn't talk about is how your body will even fluctuate throughout the day. Like when you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning, when you haven't eaten anything, it will look one way. And after you eat something, it will look another way because your body contains organs and those organs are doing a job and your body is keeping you alive and giving you nourishment and like it's doing a lot of stuff.
And on that topic too, I would also like to point out that clothing stretches and changes throughout the day as you wear it. So you might not look the same in a pair of shorts that you put on when you first put them on because they've stretched or like, and that's normal that they stretch their fabric. They're not, metal. So, so that's part of it too, I think, right? Like we change, our bodies change, and then our clothing changes as well as the day goes on. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, so. It's normal. Even the weather will affect our bodies, and that's normal.
Yes, that's normal.
And reminding ourselves that these things are normal and that fluctuation is normal and that the body isn't supposed to look like an airbrushed picture is normal. Like, that's what's normal, not what we're seeing in the media.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yes. And that takes a lot of unconditioning. Like, I think the phrase, which I'll mention here because it fits into what we're saying, is, don't worry about looking like the girls in the magazines because the girls in the magazines aren't even the girls in the magazines.
Yes.
So because they're not real, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
so what basically what we're basically saying with that is that standard of beauty is unattainable, which is I believe is 100% true for dieting as well and diet culture. You're striving for something that's unattainable. So
and the diet industry wouldn't be as successful as they are if they made you believe that. They want you to believe that you can strive to be this unattainable picture. Yeah. And I think even the diet industry is shifting lately where they're like with things like Noom, where they're like making you believe that like you can attain weight loss while being healthy. Like,
yeah, my issue with Noom is that it's disguised as health, like, they're trying to make it seem like it's not a diet, but it is, because it's restricting food. So, which goes against listening to your body. So, so that's my issue with Noom. It's just another diet, just like keto, just like, paleo and all that stuff. It's
Atkins,
just another diet. Yeah. Atkins, it's just another diet. So,
Weight Watchers.
Yeah, exactly. Weight Watchers too. Weight Watchers is another one that disguises itself, I think, as a But
anything that encourages
I've done Weight
you
Watchers
to
before,
lose
and
weight.
I can tell you, I was starving on it. So
same. But anything that encourages you to lose weight is what we describe as like a diet.
Yes, exactly.
Because that literally, we could look up the definition of a diet, but like, I'm pretty sure the definition of a diet is restricting food to lose weight. Or I guess in an athlete's case, potentially like eating more food to gain weight, but like that's a whole other topic. Yeah,
restricting food and I don't know, I guess activity with the intention of losing weight. That's what it is. Yeah. Right. So like some people fast for religious reasons. We're not talking about that. We're talking about with the goal of losing weight.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with being healthy and eating a balanced diet. Like,
no,
but your body knows more than, to go back to what we said, your body knows better than Noom. Your body knows better than Weight Watchers. And the problem is that diet culture has conditioned us to think that we don't know. And we do know. And you try. I think we're getting a little off topic here.
Yeah, we're getting off topic. No, we're getting off topic, and we will come back to this topic at another episode for sure.
Yeah.
But do we want to start? I mean, we've talked kind of a bit about our experiences with body neutrality, even at the beginning of the episode. But like, do we want to start talking about some tips that have helped us?
Yes. All right.
So, so I'll talk about the first tip because it's something that I really feel strongly about. So like one of the things you can do is write down. So you can do this on a piece of paper or you can do it in your phone or on a computer, whatever you feel comfortable with, or voice memo it, whatever. Like, so when I say write down, I just mean have available to replay, right? Or reread. So write down all the awesome things your body has done and does that have nothing to do with diet culture. So when I struggled with, I guess, ignoring my eating disorder voice after having my daughter, I really tried to focus on, like the fact that my body had birthed a human, or like grew a human and birthed a human. And that's just one example, but like that was something that I focused on. Another example can be when you get sick, your body heals itself. It takes some time sometimes, but when you get a cold or the flu, your body is awesome. It creates antibodies and it kills whatever is ailing you, and you get better. And that's something else that I love my body for. Its ability to do that, right? So these are like examples. So you might have your own examples, right? Like that, but those are kind of, I use those as kind of generic examples, because even just digesting food, like your body has the ability to consume food and digest it at a rate that it is comfortable with, to sustain life, right? So that if your body couldn't do that, you couldn't live. And not all, in these examples, I will say not all bodies can do all these things. Not all bodies can grow and birth a human, right? Like not all bodies can digest properly. Some people need help with that. But like but the fact is, if you yourself find the great things about your own body, that's where I think the power lies in helping get to the point of body neutrality.
One of the things that I love thinking about too is that your body keeps you alive by breathing, and you don't even think about it.
That's amazing. I didn't even
happens.
It just happens. Yep.
Like look at that. Your body keeps you alive.
Yep, that's amazing. That's an amazing example too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's pretty, and if you think about it, it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It turns oxygen into carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide, and like you don't even have to think about it.
Yep. And we're part of the cycle of life with that. We breathe out carbon monoxide that the trees turn into oxygen, right? So and plants and whatnot. And isn't that cool how our body is just like, we're individual in that way, but we're also part of a whole system of being. Yeah. So
look at that. Look at what the body can do. Helping out.
Keep trees alive.
No kidding. But that's the thing. We're taught to look at our bodies in a certain way, but this whole exercise is teaching you to look at your body in a different way.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, once you learn how to, like, walk, you don't have to think about it. Your body just walks.
Yep.
How cool is that? It gets you from point A to point B. Cool.
And having had a child, they learn to walk at their own time when their body is individually ready. In general, I'll say there are obviously special cases where, people need physical therapy and stuff like that, but like, or babies, but like in general, they will do things in their own time when they're ready, but the steps it takes to learn that a child learns, it goes from, being a blob to crawling to pulling itself up to walking with assistance really, newborn babies are blobs. They literally don't do anything. They don't move. But like,
you're a potato.
They are potatoes, really. So, in my opinion, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's like they go from one thing to another. So,
and their body just knows how to do it.
Yeah, and it learned. Yeah, and it's just one day their body is ready to try something, and it does, and they probably don't think about it either, right?
Nope.
So
I think children are such a good example for teaching us how to listen to ourselves.
Absolutely, I could do a whole episode on this, but One of the things that I've learned having a child, my child's 4, is that toddlers are very good at self-regulation, in terms of eating, in terms of activity, in terms of sleeping. They eat when they're hungry. They stop eating when they're full. They run around when they're having fun, but then they also sleep when they're tired. They're not listening to an outside source. It's once they're older that society starts to condition them. Yeah. So, so I often have to, like, if I'm not super worried what my daughter eats, because I know she's able to self-regulate herself. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to say it, but you know what I mean. She'll have, like, this morning, the first week of school, I was giving her a donut on the way to school as a treat, and she only ate half of it and said, "Mommy, I don't want the rest." But yesterday she ate the whole thing, and it's what her body needed in that moment. Right. Mm-hmm. So, like, it depends on what, you know what I mean? So my point is, and there's no judgment. She's not thinking, "Oh, I'm going to lose weight, so I'm going to only eat half." No, she's listening to her body. And doing what her body says. So I absolutely believe that children is a good example.
Absolutely. Yeah. Children don't know what it means to restrict. Children don't know what it means to, like, we teach them what it means. Like, you can't have this donut, but like, they know, like, that donut example is so great. It's like, you don't overeat when you're not restricted, because you're like, I have a donut and I'm eating half and I don't care. And like,
if she believes that she can have that donut, the rest of the donut, when she gets home from school, then she has no pressure to eat the whole thing. Exactly. Then and there, she can instead listen to her body, and in that moment,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So getting back to some tips on how you can embrace body neutrality. The second tip we have here is choose 2 things you like about your body and journal about them. Mm-hmm. And if you don't feel like you have anything yet, that's totally okay. You can even journal about some of the things we talked about, like walking and breathing,
Yes. Yeah. Some basic things, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I've always liked my eyes. I think eyes are a great thing that are, like, neutral. So like, you can journal about that. I don't know. When I hated my body, I always liked my eyes. So I feel like
you can always find something, like, I've always liked my hair because it's always been unique, because I'm a redhead. Yes, South Park gave me a lot of flack about being a ginger, but I choose not to believe that. Yeah. But, no, you can find something, or I would say too, if you don't find something, what is something that you want to like about your body? Journal about that.
Yeah.
Right?
And talk
Journal
about it as though you love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a great way to shift your thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely. And then, we kind of touched on this on number 1, but the third tip is make a list of characteristics of yourself that you love that aren't related to your physical appearance. So we touched on this a bit with the breathing part, but, like, we could even go into, like, intellect and
abilities.
Like abilities like that. I mean, I threw out intellect as one, but being good at a sport, being, like, I've always been good with languages and writing. I'm bilingual. I've always loved writing. I love that about myself. So that has nothing to do with Yep, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. I love how I can listen to a song and then, like, play it on an instrument, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I can't do that, but you can. So that's something unique to you, right? Like,
Everybody's got something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm pretty creative. I can, out of nowhere design a wreath or design a jewelry item or design, like, and that's part of my other business. But yeah, so, like, that's something I like about myself too, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's just something that's not, like, what parts of you, what parts of your identity exist that don't have anything to do with your physical appearance. And the point of doing this is to show yourself that you're more than just a body. You have value in this world outside of your physical appearance.
Yeah.
Which kind of segues to one of the quotes that we
I have another tip.
Oh, you have another tip. Okay, great.
I have another tip.
Okay.
So, I don't know if we've ever talked about this. I know I talked about this with my coach, and she said when you look in the mirror, if there's something about yourself that you don't like, think about all the things that can do for you. So, for example, I look in the mirror and I'm like, I don't like my arms. But then you can think, my arms can lift this coffee cup. Mm-hmm. My arms can hug my husband. My arms can, and think about all the things that your arms can do for you that aren't related to what they look like. Same with like when we were talking about our stomach. It's like, oh, well, I'm so bloated today. It's like, okay, but my stomach digests this food. My stomach houses all these organs that keep me alive. Like, and think about all the things your body is doing for you. And that can help you get to that neutral point, because
that's a great example. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a great example. And and that's why it helps, I think, because it helps with the neutrality part, because you're letting go of the intrusive thoughts, right? By doing that.
And to look in the mirror and to thank your body, to like, thank you for all you're doing for me. And it feels so fucking awkward the first time you do it. Looking in the mirror and talking to yourself is so weird. It's so embarrassing. It's so like, I hope no one can hear me. Like, it's so weird. But like, looking in the mirror and being like, thank you, arms, for being able to hug my husband. Thank you, arms, for, carrying the groceries in today. Or like, thank you, stomach, for digesting this food. And those kinds of things. And it feels weird, but when you send gratitude to yourself, you get yourself to a space of neutrality, I feel. And even it can put you in a space of acceptance.
Absolutely.
But even, even just to that space of neutrality.
Yeah, and I love that. As someone who has GERD, which is gastrointestinal reflux disease, I feel like that's helped me have a better appreciation for my stomach, because on the days where I don't have GERD symptoms and I'm feeling great, I could be like, thank you, stomach. Like, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, thank you for, and then on the days that I feel the symptoms, I can have sympathy for myself in the sense of, my stomach is doing the best that it can, today. And like, and that the fact that it's, I have these symptoms, but they could always be worse, and they're not. Right. So,
yeah. And I think being conscious of those days helps you in the days when they're harder, because then you're like, well, look at what I did yesterday, and like, my body can do this, and like, that's totally normal.
Yep. Yeah. And it's normal. Yeah. And you can reflect on, okay, well, I ate something with jalapenos in it, and this is one of the reasons why I have these symptoms. So my body's just gonna do what it needs to do, because this is the condition I have. But I'm going to, but tomorrow when I haven't eaten jalapenos, it'll be a different day. Right. So
yes.
Yeah. But it does really help with the neutrality, for sure. I really like that example of sending love out, and sending, because everyone's going to have a situation where you don't feel well. And if you love your body on the good days, it helps you love your body on the bad days too. So,
yeah. And I think recognizing what your body can do instead of what society says bodies should do really helps you figure out what's normal for you. And what's normal for you is normal and okay. And I think remembering what's normal and okay for you helps you with body neutrality.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because not everyone can do the same things. Not everyone's body can do the same things. Some people struggle with conditions and stuff. So their normal might be different from your normal. So that's a really good point. I think that's a really good point, because it's, instead of fighting it, you just accept it, right? You're like, well, this is my normal. I'm just going to accept it. And and I'm not saying if you have something serious going on that you shouldn't seek help, and you shouldn't, go get help from a doctor for that. Like, I have medicine that I can take for my GERD, which I do. But sometimes it's not enough. So like So definitely, if you feel like there's something wrong, definitely seek out medical attention. We're not saying don't do that. But if you accept that your body is doing that or being that way, and that's your reality in that moment, then that will help you get to a place where you can be neutral about other things too.
100%.
Yeah.
And accepting body neutrality is the bridging step to loving your body.
Absolutely.
And loving yourself.
Absolutely. So I don't know, do we want to go into our quote?
Yes.
We have a really good quote so the quote is by Lindsay Kite, PhD. And so she has a book called, I haven't read it, so I can't really attest to it, but I really like the quote. The book is called More Than a Body. She also has a website, so you can go on her website. It's morethanabody.org, and check her out. But we really love this quote because I think it really explains what body neutrality is, even better than what we just explained it as for the last 45 minutes.
Yes.
So yeah. So do you want to say the quote, or do you want me to say the quote?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So loving your body isn't believing your body looks good. It is knowing your body is good, regardless of how it looks. It isn't It isn't thinking you are beautiful. It's knowing you are more than beautiful.
Yeah.
It is understanding that your body is an instrument for your use, not an ornament to be admired.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, I got goosebumps.
I know.
Literally, I got goosebumps after reading that. So, like, to break this down, loving your body isn't believing your body looks good. It's knowing your body is good regardless of how it looks. And that's kind of what we're saying with appreciating the things about it that have nothing to do with appearance, or even appreciating things about your appearance in a different way. Because it's, you know, it's true. So and in like the knowing you're more than beautiful, beauty is also, I would like to also point out that beauty is a social construct, right? And it actually has nothing to do with, it's all subjective. Different cultures have different opinions of beauty. And in history, there's been different views of beauty over time. And we talked about that a little bit last episode. But so remember that you're beautiful, but you're more than beautiful. And this is where I think the neutrality comes in. Because if you don't focus on the beautiful, if you focus on everything else as well, then you really get to know your worth, and you really get to understand that you're worthy of everything, right?
I feel like shopping for women is such a thing where, like, you take a friend because you want to know if something looks good. But you know better than anybody if it looks good, because what looks good for you and what you feel good in is all that matters. Well,
and to be completely honest with you, I don't go shopping in person really anymore since the pandemic. I'm not afraid of the pandemic. I think I've learned that it's not something I enjoy as much as I thought I used to. But when I used to go shopping, I used to go by myself.
Yeah.
So like I never used to want to bring anyone with me.
Yeah. I mean,
when I shop for my wedding dress, the first time I went to the store, I went alone.
Yeah.
I found a dress I liked, and then I brought other people. But like for them to have the experience, like my mom came, but like I went alone.
Yeah.
Because that's more me, right? Like,
you know what's funny about wedding dresses? I feel like had I gone alone, I would have totally picked a different dress.
Really?
Yeah. Like, do you remember, because you were there, when I tried on that one dress? It was super poofy, and it was like sequency at the top, and then like these layered like bottom, and I was like, this is it. This is the moment I see on Say Yes to the Dress. Like, this is it. And then you took my picture so I could see what it looked like in a picture. And I was like, I look fat. I'm not buying this dress.
Yeah, I remember that. And you loved that dress too.
I did.
Yeah.
And it's not that I didn't love the dress I ended up picking. It ended up working out how it was meant to.
Yes.
But it's interesting how if you take people with you, you might end up with something different.
Yeah.
Because of whatever factors.
My dress was weird. I ended up with a completely different dress than I thought I would. And then I altered it a lot. I altered it almost completely because partway through I changed my mind about what I wanted, but I didn't want to, like, I I still liked the core of the dress, if that makes sense. So I added lace to it. It was a one strap. I added another strap. So there was two straps. Yeah. So but in the end, I think why it was the right choice was because there was no other dress like it, because I pretty much like tailored my own dress. So,
true. Yeah.
But, and I like that I did that. But yeah, but I feel like today, because I'm a different person than I was. So I got married 6 years ago, and I'm a different person than I was then. I feel like I would pick a different dress today if I were to
100%.
Like a vow renewal or something. Yeah.
Same. Every time I watch all these cheesy Hallmark movies and they're getting married and they're trying on wedding dresses, and I'm like, oh, like every dress I see, I'm like, I like that. Like I would totally try on different dresses than I did when I got married 2 years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
that was such a
little
segue, but I think we can take that segue and turn it into, your opinion of your bodies can change over time. What you like is allowed to change.
Yes.
You know, the things you like about your body is allowed to change. Like when you were choosing your wedding dress, well, and I was too, we were both not in the same place we are in terms of body acceptance that we are today. So
not at all.
No. And I know that about us. So it only makes sense that we would pick different items now.
Yeah.
So true. I think that's, you know, I would like to say that if you look at pictures of an event where you knew in that moment in your headspace you were very diet culture oriented, like maybe you went on a diet to lose weight for your wedding or something, it's like you are allowed to show yourself forgiveness for that, because it you didn't know any better and now you do, right? So
yes. And even if you like gained weight and you're not happy about it because you're still in the diet culture world and the thoughts, it's okay and it's normal. It's okay. And just saying that to yourself, that it's okay and that it's normal, it helps you accept yourself. It helps you get to that neutral point, because bodies are meant to fluctuate. Bodies are meant to, you know, your weight is meant to fluctuate. It's like we were talking about with the driver's license. It's like whatever weight you give them that day, that's not what weight you're meant to stay at, that you're meant to be at. Like it always is going to fluctuate.
It's going to, and it's kind of silly. Yeah. And I mean, we feel like we've kind of come full circle around, which is great, but no, I agree. And it's okay. It's, again, this is a journey, and you're unconditioning yourself, of all of the conditioning you've had around dieting and you know, the drive to be a certain size, and, you know, So I hope that this has been helpful.
Yes, absolutely.
For everyone. Yeah.
And
is there anything else you want to add, Bae?
I don't think so. I just really want to convey to the listeners that, like, your body is meant to be different, and that is normal, and honoring and accepting that was my first step to getting to body neutrality. And then in some cases, like, body acceptance and body love. And I just want everyone to try and embrace that they're different and that is normal for them. And that's what they're meant to be doing. They're not meant to fall into this box that society wants to put them in. And once you can accept that for yourself, you're on the right path.
I think that's a great way to put it, for sure. And I kind of feel the same way. I feel like growing up, I've always been short and curvy, and I feel like I've always felt like the supermodels the clothing they make for the supermodels is not meant to be made for me. And I used to resent that, but now I just say, well, I'm actually me, and I deserve to feel good in what I wear. And so now I put effort into finding clothes that I love and like I love on the body I have, instead of changing my body to be something that it's not. Yes.
Your body is meant to fit into clothes. Wait, you're
trying to figure out.
I know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say it right. It's like you have clothes, and if the clothes don't fit you, your job is not to fit into the clothes. The clothes are meant to fit your body.
Yes,
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yep. No, exactly. Like, I believe that 100%. Like, I have a very large chest, and I have had people ask me, have you ever thought about getting a breast reduction? Yeah. And the way I look at it is like, no, why doesn't the lingerie industry just make bras that fit me?
Yeah.
Because I don't have health issues from my chest. Like some people get a breast reduction. If you're doing it for a medical reason, totally different. Like back issues, whatever. I don't have that. Like I don't have any of that. I literally can say no back issues here. So for me, if I was doing it, it would be an aesthetic thing, not a medical thing. And I think that's an important distinguish between the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think about that all the time. I'm like, no, I would be doing it for the wrong reasons. And, or, instead of me trying to fit into what the mold society wants me to fit in, the standard sizing and whatever, you can expand your sizing to fit me.
Yes. One other way I like to look at it is that you were put on this earth to be unique and be yourself, and society is the problem, not you. And
1,000%.
If we embrace our uniqueness, you think about it this way: everybody on this earth is like a piece to a puzzle, and the puzzle can't go together if every piece is the same shape. It's not gonna work. They're not gonna it won't work together if you're not embracing your uniqueness. And that can be your mental abilities, that can be physical quality, like whatever that is about yourself. You embrace your uniqueness, embrace who you are, embrace everything about yourself that doesn't make you fit into a box, that lets you be you. And once you can accept that and become neutral, you can get into love and gratitude and living your best life.
Yeah. I love that. I love that analogy about the puzzle pieces. I think that's a great, and that's the whole point. The whole point of this podcast is to embrace, accept the bodies we have and be who we're meant to be who, be our unique selves, be our wonderful selves, and enjoy life and be happy, right?
Yes.
So I love that way of putting it. I love it.
Yeah, because are you really happy if you're trying to be what society wants you to be? I'm gonna say no, because I did that my whole life.
Yep. No, for sure. I'm gonna say no as well. And and I have a lot of things that I find that I'm different. I have ADHD, so I'm neurodivergent, and I've started to embrace, instead of looking at it like I don't fit into what society wants me to fit in, I think I'm different. My brain works different, and that's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I mean? So we can extend that and think about that about our bodies too. So
that's one of the tips where you can talk about the things that you like about your body. Try and spin the things. So it's I have ADHD, and instead of thinking of that, how society is there's something wrong with you, try and embrace it. Be well, this is really cool. I'm different, and this is how I'm different, and look at how awesome I am.
Some of the traits that people the inattention or the hyper focus, it's my ability to hyper focus is one of my best traits. I can get a lot done because I get in the zone and time passes and I have no knowledge of it passing until I come out of that hyper focus state. And if you can learn to channel that into a productivity, it's not a bad trait to have at all. Yeah. But society will look at that as obsessiveness or of something. They'll turn it into something else, right? So you just have to know how, but the first step is learning about yourself and accepting you have that trait, and then you get to learn how to control it and use it for good.
Yes.
So
exactly.
That's just one example of the many traits of ADHD and the many parts of who I am. But that's and who you are and who, you know what I mean? But
yes.
If you can take something that society views as negative and turn it around, that's where your power lies, I think.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And embracing your power and embracing your uniqueness is body neutrality. It's just accepting.
Yeah, just accepting. Yep.
With no
and not judging it.
Way.
Yeah.
Yes, non-judgment.
Without judgment.
It's excellent.
Yeah. So I think we've done this topic justice. Yes. I love it.
Yes.
All right. I guess if I guess, comment if on social media, and yeah, we'll be putting out a Facebook group. By the time you hear this, it will already be of existence.
Yep.
So we will be letting you know about that. So
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in today, and thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Comment on social media to let us know what you think. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Body Acceptance Babes. Please join our Patreon for bonus content, behind-the-scenes access, and more.
If you or someone you love is struggling with an eating disorder or disordered eating behavior, you can get help in Canada from the National Eating Disorder Information Centre toll-free at 1-866-633-4220 or email nedic@uhn.ca, or in the US, you can text or call the National Eating Disorder Association toll-free at 1-800-931-2237.